Hey, it's Jen Mack, Lady of the Mind. Welcome to Life Mastery Decoded for women and women entrepreneurs, where I help you decode the struggles in your life in the areas of health, wealth, and relationships with mind mastery and meditation tools and techniques so that you can live the life that you're proud of. Welcome to today's podcast. Hello, lovely ladies. Welcome to today's episode. We are going to be talking about beliefs today, and I hope that this episode finds you happy and healthy. But yet, if it does not, if you are not feeling happy or healthy or any other array of positive emotions, please know that my intention today in this specific episode is to help you and to help you to feel better, to give you one nugget of inspiration that helps to change your day, at least your day. So welcome to today's episode. We're going to be talking about beliefs. And why beliefs? When I was younger, I believed that my destiny was set in stone. And I don't mean this destiny where I'm sharing with you these wonderful epiphanies that I have had throughout my life. And I call them wonderful because they have been tremendously life-changing and transformational for me. But to you, they might just be stories from my childhood, right? So my mom was paying bills. Remember, I told you that we were on welfare. We had food stamps. I was quite ashamed by this. Back then in the 80s, it was powdered milk and government cheese. And if you are one person sitting there and you're right around the same age as me and you have experienced that, you understand what I'm talking about. It was really, really challenging. And so I remember her paying bills and being quite frustrated. You know, there's always more month left than there is money, and there's always more bills. And of course, my brother and I were pretty rambunctious young kids, and we always broke stuff. No, not major things, but, you know, our wrestling or running through the house, we always broke picture frames and furniture and whatever, which is why she always sent us outside. But on this one particular day, I remember her paying bills and being very frustrated, and I was very compassionate towards my mom. I just loved her, and I just really felt for her. And I remember going outside, and I used to climb pretty much everything on the roof, in the trees. I had climbed the furniture, I'd climbed the walls in the house. I just loved climbing. And I remember climbing up on the shed, and this was a summer that my brother had moved out, so it was just me and my mom in the house. And I'm up on the shed, and in front of me is acres and acres and acres of corn, and to the right of me is acres of corn as far as I can see, and then to the left of me is where our yard is in the back of the house, right? And it's just this flat roofed shed. And I remember sitting there thinking, because I often did that as a child, and I remember, I would just sit in the dark thinking, staring at the ceiling, thinking and pondering about things. And I remember this particular day sitting on the shed with my feet dangling off the roof, and I remember this quote very specifically that I think back then changed the course of my life. And that quote was, "There's got to be a better way." And I remember thinking about maybe what those ways could be. Now, there's no internet back then. There's no Facebook. There's no, we had 3 channels on TV. I lived in a really, really small town. I graduated with 42 kids. So a really small farm Catholic community. So I didn't have the knowledge and the wherewithal and the information coming to me to help direct me of where might that better way be. And I remember just always thinking that, right? And it just kind of started me on this path of gaining knowledge, though I will tell you for probably the next 8 or so years, there was no knowledge being gained. Like, there was not a bookstore that I went to. I didn't look in the library for books on anything because I didn't even have any idea. But it was just those 5 words that started my awareness going in a different direction. There's got to be a better way, because what that does is it helps the brain to start problem solving. If you listen to Meditation is Woo Woo, which was episode 7, I believe, when you listen, and I believe that meditation can come across as being woo woo. I think of it as like the science behind it, and it's episode 6. But if you listen to that one and you started taking theta naps and you started to understand kind of the brain waves and the subconscious mind, You become what you talk about. You become what you think about. And if you're trying to solve a problem or make a decision and you're saying things like, I'm never going to solve this problem, or I can't make a decision, your subconscious mind, which then goes to work for you, shuts down, right? Your subconscious mind can't solve the problem if you say things like that. If you say things like, I can't do this, or this isn't going to work, or no matter how hard I try, I always fail. Any of those words will prevent the subconscious from going to work for you. And I think I even talked about in a couple other episodes, we talk about universal energies. Like when you set the intention, universal energies come to work for you. Like it is like having a 1,000-person staff with all these arrays of skills and knowledge and information. And you say, hey, I want a garage built. All these people come together and they build your garage. Wait, I don't know where the money's going to come from. And then this other department comes together and figures out where the money might come from to build a garage. Or you want to make a decision and all these people show up. Your staff just shows up. That's what the universe is like. But we so often turn our brain off and we say things like, it'll never work, or I can't do it. Are you one of these people? Think of all the areas in your life where you're having to struggle. What is your self-talk like there and about that topic? Do you say things like, it's never going to work? So in this time where I'm sitting on the shed and I'm thinking, there's got to be a better way, right? I remember continuously thinking that throughout the course of my life. Now, remember, this was the summer that I'm like going into 7th grade. And I remember that I would get stuck and I had very negative attitude. You know, I brought up in I don't want to say poverty, because we had a big, beautiful house and we always had nice furniture and food to eat and we were never homeless. My mom loved us. She did the very best she could to take care of us. And I absolutely love her for it. And there were some good times and there were some bad times, and there were some good things that happened and there were some bad things that happened, which is probably everyone's childhood, right? You can kind of put it on this balance, but it was tough to be on food stamps and it was tough to not have money in my pocket. But as I kept saying that, I went off to college and I didn't have any friends. And if you listen to the other podcasts, I had crappy relationships after crappy relationships if I'm dealing with my own deep, dark secrets of being gay. And that was challenging for me, right? And so I wanted to be accepted. So you kind of have this flip-flop going on here of, well, do I be accepted or do I, tell people that I'm gay? Because those two things might not go together. You never know how people are going to respond. So, but as I kept doing that, I had this desire to be successful, because I remember my parents, my grandparents, my dad didn't always say this. And remember, my parents are divorced, so I never lived with both of, I did live with, but I was a baby. I don't remember it at all. But my mom and my grandma would always say, this is the card you've been dealt. This is the hand you've been dealt. So you just have to deal with it. You just have to make do. And I felt like as soon as they would say that, I'd be like, no, like I'm not going to believe that. I'm not going to believe what you guys said. And I would walk away, right? But in my mind, I'm thinking, I don't want to believe that that's true. Like, I don't want to believe that. And there are people saying, your destiny is already written in the stars, and, you've been dealt this hand of living in poverty or, being poor and not having money and not having the cool clothes that all the other kids had. And, I had jeans that were too short for me, and I was like, squirting out of them as I was, getting older. I was getting, bigger, and I was growing. And then, my freaking jeans are too short and they're too tight, and I'd have a stomach ache, and this shirt ripped, but I'm not going to tell mom because I want to keep wearing it. Right. And so I'm like dealing with all of these things kind of wears a person down. But at the same time, it made me stronger. So as I'm going through life and I'm not taking in these beliefs of that someone is telling me this is just the hand you've been dealt and this is just where you're going to be and this is just you're just going to be poor for the rest of your life. I kept saying no, no, and no. Well, what I was actually doing was dispelling those beliefs, but what I wasn't doing, and I didn't know until now, is I didn't bring in a new empowering belief. So what does this mean for you? Is there something in your life that you want? In any area, health, wealth, relationships, deeper spiritual connection? What is it that you're yearning for? What is the problem that you're facing right now in your life? Because if you're alive and you are breathing, there's a problem in front of you that you wish would go away. Am I right? So mine was money. My biggest one was always relationships until now. I've completely successfully landed the girl and landed the family, and and I'm just like, I'm so freaking happy inside when I look at that area of my life. And is there areas of improvement? Yes, of course. When you're a parent and you're raising kids, there's always chaos and always areas you want to improve. But what I wanted was success. I wanted to be rich. I wanted to have more money that I knew what to do with. And but there was a fear of being rich as well, because I was brought up to think that rich people were not very good people, or they were not very nice. And then when I would see people that were rich, they were kind of egotistical and chauvinistic and just kind of narcissistic. And I didn't want to be that. But until I was able to wrestle and wrangle my own money beliefs, like what did I believe about money and what did I believe about being rich or being wealthy? And until I was able to dispel those negative beliefs that limited me, then I was able to step into that role of earning more money. And my beliefs and my subconscious mind and the universe came to my assistance and said, hey, here's what your path is. Here's what you can do. And here's how you can kind of be in control of your own destiny. Because never once, no matter how many people told me, you are not in control of your destiny, I'm like, absolutely not am I going to believe that. And I'm here to tell you, you are right. You do not have to believe that. You, like I said, there is a certain thread that runs through your life and your timeline that says, these are your skills, this is your knowledge, here's where you can go. Like mine is all 100% personal development. There is no friggin' way I can ever get off this path, no matter how many times I've tried. I keep coming back to this path, right? And I can do anything I want within this category. I can coach, I can speak, I can do podcasts, I can do women's retreats, I can lead mastermind groups, whatever. But it has to be in this thing, because this is what I just obsess over, which has made me an expert in this field. And you can do the same thing. It doesn't have to be personal development. It could be parenting. And you know, I knew a lady who had like 54 over the course of her life, had like 54 foster kids. You know, it could be anything. But what I wanted was that success. And it took me a little bit of a stumbling block to get there. But every time I faced this problem, I would get down on myself and I would dog on myself. And I'm like, my belief was that I wasn't smart enough my whole entire life. And I tell you, in just a second, I'll tell you the story, but that was my belief. And I'll tell you exactly where that belief came from. But my internal desire, the thing that I really, really wanted inside, was complete freedom and control of my destiny. I want a complete freedom. I want to choose when I go and where I go. I want to choose what I do and what I buy. I want to be in complete control of the car I'm driving. And it was beliefs that get me there. So I was in 11th grade, 10th or 11th grade. So I'm a young graduate. I graduated high school when I was 17 years old, just because I have a September birthday, not because I'm passed a couple grades or anything. I mean, I did okay, but I don't want you to think that I was some like whiz kid or something. But anyway, I go into the guidance counselor's name is Dan Pattison, and I go into his office, and he's got my folder, my file, my school file sitting on his desk, and I'm meeting with him to talk about college. And he said, so what do you want to do with school? Like, what are you thinking? Where are you going? What do you want to do? And at that point, I wanted to be a deaf education teacher, deaf as in for hard of hearing and deaf kids. I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to be in a classroom. I loved sign language. I taught myself sign language when I worked at a speech and hearing camp. I was absolutely obsessed with it. I was really, really good at it. And I sit down across from him, this adult, this wise counselor that's going to guide me towards my dreams. And he says, what college do you want to go to? And I say, I want to go to Eastern Michigan University in Ypsilanti. My dad's side of the family lived down there, and I wanted to be closer to my dad. And so that was the university I wanted to go to. And he closes up the folder, and he kind of taps it on the desk, you know, like getting all the papers to be nice and neat in there. And he puts the folder in the stack of all the kids that he's already seen throughout the day. And he looks right at me, right in my eyes, and he says, Jennifer, you're not smart enough to go to university. And in that instant, my dreams were crushed. But in that instant, I let him crush my dreams. And he said, here's what I think you should do. I think that you should go to a community college, get your grades up, and then maybe you could go to university. But of course, I didn't really hear those words. He wrote it on some piece of paper and gave it to me, and I gave it to my mom. But I did come to Traverse City, and I did not become a deaf education teacher, but I did go through the interpreter training program, which of course was lesser school, because at this point now I have somehow slipped it into my mind that I'm not smart enough. And don't you think that me and a single mother and a redhead and a tomboy body that I already feel pretty crappy about myself? Thanks a lot, Mr. Pattison. You are an inspiration to so many kids. So I go on to college and I just keep hitting these walls. I just keep hitting these emotional walls, because every time I try to step into something that's going to make me more money, immediately what belief came out of my mouth? I'm not smart enough. I wanted to be a physical therapist. I'm not smart enough. I wanted to go to school and study kinesiology. I'm not smart enough. I wanted to go to school, this was a fleeting moment, to become a knee doctor. I'm not smart enough. I wanted to go to this and do that. Not smart enough. And so what I kept doing is working in retail, working in a grocery store, working in a restaurant, working in fast food, working over here, working over there. 37 jobs later. And it wasn't until probably, 3 or 4 years ago that I really started working on the belief that I'm not smart enough. And until I was able to dispel this belief and put in a new belief, I was able to step into the role that I belong in. So now I ask you, if you are having trouble in any of those areas, I want you to become aware of what your self-talk is. When you're talking about relationships, if you're in a crappy relationship, do you just feel like, I'm never going to find the right person? I'm never going to find true love. Every guy I date is a jerk. Every woman I date is you're going to cheat on me. I'm never going to get what I want. Do you say things like that? So I'm going to ask you, I'm going to challenge you today to start flipping that self-talk around and start saying things like, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be somebody out there for me. There's got to be something I can do to attract that thing that I want. There's got to be. And start saying more encouraging words. Take the one statement that you say to yourself, the thing that I'm never going to get it. Okay. When you say that, how does it feel? When you hear those words reverberate back into your ears, how do you feel? It feels like crap. It doesn't feel good to say that. It does not feel good to have that counselor repeat back to me, I'm not smart enough. He looked me right in the eye and with his most inspirational voice says, you're not smart enough. Are you freaking joking? Why would you ever say that to somebody? And I carried that belief for a long time, and it proved itself over and over and over and over again in my life because I adopted it. But yet there were other beliefs that I did not adopt. Isn't that interesting? That one I chose to adopt. And I chose to accept it into my belief system, which then became part of my subconscious mind. And everything after that proved itself true. Nope, you're not smart enough to do that. See, you didn't get an A on that test. Nope, you're not smart enough to get that job. See, you didn't get that. You didn't win that interview. You didn't get that job. You didn't get the raise. You didn't get accepted into this college. I wanted to go to state. Don't hate me. It wasn't because of state. It was just because it was in Lansing. And nope, you're not smart enough. You're not smart enough. And it continued. Whatever you believe is what shows up in your life. Remember, thoughts become things. What I'm constantly thinking, what the recording is constantly putting out, that is what I'm putting out in front of me. Did you listen to the podcast? I think I changed the name. It's called Throwing Dog Poop, but then something about, it used to be called like, don't get mad when you throw dog poop and then step in it. So think of your timeline as this lateral view. My thoughts go out in front of me and then I walk through those. So if you are thinking I'm not smart enough, don't go to the interview because you're not going to get the job. Or the job, you're going to get the job, but the job's going to suck. And it's just going to continue to prove over and over again. So that's why I say, like, don't throw dog poop. So you're going to throw the dog poop in front of you, and then you're going to get mad that you walked in it. The things that are already in your life are past thoughts already manifested. So take that in for a second. The things that you're already experiencing in your life are past thoughts already manifested. So I didn't get the interview. See? Well, no, because it's that past thought that says I'm not smart enough. Now, the question on the tip of your tongue should be something like, can I change my beliefs? And my resounding answer, yes. Because a belief is only a thought you keep thinking. A belief is not permanent. It is not reality. It is not something you've been stuck with. A belief is only a thought that you keep thinking. I go to bed at night thinking, I'm never going to find the love of my life. I wake up in the morning and sure enough, I'm still with the same person who's not the love of my life. What if you changed your thought? Can you not change your mind? Guys, we're women, right? We change our mind 2,700 times about dinner. Now it's time to start changing our mind about our self-talk. So what was the plan? What did I start to need? What did I start to put into place? First, I got out my journal and I'm like, okay, I want to make more money. Here I go. All right. So I write at the top of the paper all of my beliefs about money, good, bad, ugly, anything. And I do not decipher. I do not filter them. I get my pencil or two. And if you're a pen person, get a pen. I'm all about pencils. And get your pencil, get your pen, and you write all of your beliefs about money. If it has to do with a person who has money, anything. It's hard to come by. It's hard to keep. I never have enough money. My paychecks aren't big enough. I never get paid what I'm worth. Rich people are jerks. They're thieves. The only way to make money is to sell drugs or be an NFL football player. You can make a lot of money if you do both. Okay, right? That's what I did. That was part one. Write down everything. The first time I did this, I think I came up with like 114 beliefs about money. Money, rich people, wealth, anything. Once you start going and you dedicate yourself to this, you just go and go and go and go and go and go and go. And you just puke out everything that you can about money. Then you pause. You might even wait a day. And then you look at this. You look at this list that you made and you start to read what you have written on the paper. And I want you then to say, is this really true? Is this true about everybody? The one true statement is a dollar bill has George Washington on it. That's a true statement. But you say something like money's really hard to come by. It's not a true statement because it might be true for you, but it's only because you think that. Because if you look at the guy next to you or the girl next to you, money's not hard to come by for her. But George Washington is still on the dollar. You get what I'm saying? That's the truth. George Washington is on the dollar bill. It's true for her. It's true for you. Money is hard to come by. Not true. It's only a thought you keep thinking. Okay, so if you're a woman entrepreneur out there and you are having a hard time, this exercise is for you. If you're a single mother and you want to make more money, this exercise is for you. If you have a job that you hate and you want to become an entrepreneur, this is for you. Do not take this exercise lightly. There is so much power in this exercise. Let me tell you what I did. October, remember I wanted to be a public speaker. I was doing a lot of speaking for small groups and, $200, $300, $500, $600. It was all pretty little. I think one time I got paid $1,000 for 45 minutes of being on stage. And that was like, wow, I'm so excited. But yet I have speaker friends who are getting paid $20 and $30 and $50,000 to be on stage for 90 minutes. And I'm like, okay, it is time. All right, watch how this goes. See if you can pinpoint the things that you have heard so far in this podcast. The first thing I did, this was October 2019. And I'm like, okay, I am ready to it's been 10 years of me speaking of these little piddly. I had a lot of them throughout the year, but they're just little piddly amounts, right? Well, piddly for a speaker. Speakers get paid a lot of money. And I was not at this point, but I absolutely loved being on stage. So in October 2019, I set the intention. I am ready to level up. I am ready to become that speaker. I'm good on stage. I'm funny. I have a lot of information to share. I'm engaging. People always, the host or the audience they always want me to come back. I speak multiple times for the same organization. And I'm like, I'm ready. I know that I'm good. I know that I'm worthy. I am ready. Now, did you hear those words? I know that I'm good. I know that I'm worthy. And then I set the intention. I am going to make more money speaking. I intend. So I met with my speaker friend and who makes a lot of money and does a lot of traveling, like out of the country to really cool places to speak and gets paid a lot of money to do it. And I'm like, I'm ready to do that. I'm ready to step into this role and be a highly paid, sought after speaker. Okay. Remember, the universe can't come to your aid until you set the intention. Always the first thing. So I set the intention. I meet with my speaker friend. She starts to give me all these things. She's telling me how much she's speaking, how much money she's making, all these places she's gone. And I'm like, yeah, I'm ready. She's only been speaking for 4 years. I have 6 more years on top. I have 6 more years more than her. And I'm like, okay, I'm ready. And she goes, okay, maybe do this, do this, do this. It gives me kind of this plan of like gaining speakers and writing some letters and doing some stuff. And I'm not kidding you guys. I set the intention. A week later, I meet with her. Not kidding. A week later, I get an email. Now, I had done a speaking event the July before, this October, so same year, but that July, I got paid $1,000 to be on stage for, I think I was on stage for, was it 90 minutes? I think it was 90 minutes. And it was like the biggest speaking. I was so excited. Oh my gosh, $1,000. Holy crap. Oh my God, so excited. I'm finally doing it. Okay, just so you know, this is kind of laughable, but speakers get paid so much money, like $50,000 and more to be on stage. Okay. So, and I love being on stage. So why am I not making more money? The only reason is because of those limiting beliefs. So I meet with her and she says, oh my gosh, you should be making, anywhere between 25 and 50 grand every single time you're on stage. And I said, I want to be, let's go. The week after, I get an email from one of the girls that was in that Detroit event that I did in that July. I had not met her, like physically introduced or anything, but obviously she knew who I was. I get an email, I open it, and she says, we want to hire you as a speaker. They're in West Virginia. We want to hire you as a speaker. We absolutely loved you. I am totally fighting for you to come down. So let's get a phone call going and talk about, your cost and when we can get you down here and the date and time and all that. So I about pee my pants, 1. So 2, I'm now armed and dangerous. I have the intention. I have some knowledge because I just met with my other speaker friend. So I updated my profile picture, it's a 1-sheet profile page that my speaker page that I give to potential clients. And so I updated that and I talked to my friend and she says, I would offer to do it for $2,500. And I said, okay, I'll do that. So I have the call, it's like coming up the next day. And I have the call and I'm like, okay, so I'll offer, $2,500 to do this talk. It'd be, it's more than double what I've already made. And as I'm pacing the kitchen, waiting to get on this phone call, I think, I want to leave some room for negotiation. So I'm going to offer to do this talk for $5,000. For 1, I believe I'm worth $5,000. And for 2, you're going to take me away from my family for 3 days to do this talk. And that to me means a lot. To leave Amy at home alone with the 2 boys and the 2 dogs, it's a lot. It's a lot to manage. And we're a family and we're very close and we work really well together, all of us, all 4 of us, right? We work really well together. We really help each other out. It's a great unit and family unit. And so I'm like, okay, all right, yeah, that feels right. So I'm going to do that. So I get on the phone and it's this woman that emailed me, but then it's also her boss. So I had no idea that it was going to be 3 people on this phone call. And so we get to talking and what can you talk about and what's your gig and what's your content and all that. So we talk about that. And then of course the question comes, what do you charge? And I said, okay, so, and real confident. I mean, listen to how I talk. I am like in the game, right? And I said, I will do this talk for $5,000. And there was a little bit of a silence and I did not say anything. I didn't say anything. I just waited. And the boss lady, the boss woman, she goes, okay. She goes, well, it's a little bit more than what we were thinking of paying, but here's what I'll do. And then the 2 of them started talking. Now we're on like this whole conference call, right? The 2 of them start talking and she says to the other lady, she goes, well, I'm going to see if Greg can call our board and see if there's any grant money that can come in or sponsorship that can come in to be able to host Jen and have her come do this talk. And I'm just, I'm grinning from ear to ear. And so then the other lady goes, yeah, let's do that. And then she says to me, she goes, you were really, really good in Detroit. And I really, really want you at this event. So we get off the phone and, I get Amy on the phone. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Holy crap. And I just did this thing and it's $5,000 and holy moly. She's like, oh my gosh, blah, blah, blah. And then it was like 5 days goes by. Well, what starts happening in your head when 5 days goes by and you haven't heard back from them? Oh gosh, I shouldn't have offered that much. I should have done it for $2,500. I should have, holy moly, blah, 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 blah. And so I write the lady back and I say, just wondering if you guys had any more thought about it, or, if there was any, anything else, any other information you needed from me or whatever. 2 more days goes by. I get an email from her and she's just like, we're still trying to get a sponsor. I'm like, okay, so they're still trying to get $5,000. And then 2 days later, I get a phone call. And she goes, Jen, we'd love to welcome you to West Virginia and we will pay you $5,000 to be on the stage for 90 minutes. I could not hear my own, my ears just kind of closed up from all the screaming that was happening in the car. And all the tears that streamed down my face. Because, listen, I set the intention. I changed the belief. I put it into play. I put it into action. And 2 weeks after, well, it would have been 3 weeks by all the phone calls and emails and stuff. 3 weeks later, 3 weeks, I land my first speaking gig for $5,000. Now, even that is low, but however, to go from the highest I had and 10 years of being a seasoned speaker and never making more than $1,000 from being on stage, this was huge. The point of this is not so much that, yay, you got paid money to be on stage. The point is, look at the framework. I set the intention. I changed the belief. I put it into play. I started to take action, and the universe, the current of the universe swept around me and said, let's go. You got it. Here you go. And it happened that fast. So I encourage you to just set the intention. Set the intention of what it is that you want to see. I intend to lose weight, 20 pounds by February. I intend to spend more quality time with my kids or quality time with my spouse. And then figure out those beliefs. Please do not negate this work that you could do as far as your beliefs go. Please do not think that's just a bunch of hokey dokey baloney. It changed my life. It changed my life. And it put me in the driver's seat of my car. And what was the end result? Well, yes. Outside, I just got this freaking speaking gig that was like, holy moly, and it was so awesome. And asked me if I actually ended up going. No, but they did pay me half to book the date. And then the other half when I actually performed the event, which COVID happened, and it was supposed to be in late March, and COVID shut down the whole world like a week before I was going to go. And I haven't actually done it yet, but when I do, I will collect the rest of the amount. So I'm not worried about that. But then internally, what it did for me is it transformed me into a confident life driver. I became this confident person now in the seat of my life car going, do I want to turn left? Do I want to go straight? Do I want to go right? What is it that I want in my life? And then I set the intention and I dispel any of those beliefs. So that is your podcast for today. That is your podcast. What I would love for you to do is to come over to the Facebook group. That's Jen Mack, Lady of the Mind. Post those beliefs that are so limiting to you that they are keeping you where you're at. They are keeping you stuck. Come over there, post them over there, and then do the work, post your new belief. We will be there to support you. We will be there to hold your hand, to share and relish in your success, and to help you get through the struggle. And I look forward to, well, what a great way to start the new year. What a great way to kick off the new year. So right now on this day is December 31st of 2020. I wish you and your family a happy new year, and I will talk to you tomorrow, January 1st. Take care. Thanks for listening, and if you liked this episode, please take the time to like and share. Also, please visit me on my other social media pages. I'm on Instagram, Jen Mack, Lady of the Mind. I'm on Facebook, where we have this community titled Life Mastery Decoded, and it's a community of women and women entrepreneurs where we come together to support one another in sharing our successes and struggles. You can also check out my YouTube channel, where I share my teachings and my personal journey, and it's simply titled Jen Mack, Jenmac. Have a great day, and I hope to hear from you.